Hi there everybody, I'm Fred Thomas and you are watching All Things Bike, and we are speaking with Ethan Davis of the New England Human Powered Vehicle Rally. Ethan, let's take a look at this human powered vehicle. What do we got?
Well, so probably the most obvious thing is the body, and the idea with making the aerodynamics as efficient as possible is to smooth the airflow over the front and actually have it close neatly behind.
What's it made out of? Is it carbon fiber? Or
this particular one is fiberglass. A lot of them are getting into carbon fiber nowadays.
Right.
Sometimes they even have Kevlar kind of woven in there because it's very resilient. If you get into a crash, you can pop it out and keep going. Carbon fiber, it doesn't have the same properties. But so I guess just kind of going along with the aerodynamics, when you're going into, say, rolling hills, you get an interesting effect where you can actually crest hills and be going way faster than you could in a regular bike. It's sort of like the momentum carries you through, and because it's less aerodynamic drag, you can go much faster. If you have a longer hill, it ends up slowing you down, and for that purpose, when you're going maybe 8-10 miles an hour or even slower than that up a hill, it can get kind of hot. You don't have the same level of airflow. So many Velomobiles nowadays will have, sometimes they'll have a kind of a cover that's an add-on as a roof. And to allow greater airflow through, it's got a visor that will tilt up. They don't all do that, but quite a few are doing it nowadays. So this particular machine is different than a lot of the machines that are being produced. It's actually intended to be a less expensive way of getting into Velomobiles. So the hard shell pieces, this top bit here and the upper rear, I purchased, and then I built the lower portion here and also in the back out of very inexpensive, commonly available material called Coroplast. It's basically campaign sign material. Most of the time, most of the Velomobiles that are produced nowadays are actually what's called monocoque construction, where they've got sort of a composite body, either fiberglass, carbon fiber, Kevlar, and they attach the suspension parts to that, all the wheels and sometimes they'll have a subframe inside there.
Is it easy to take this off and on when you need to work on the bike?
Well, with this particular machine, yes. With most of them, there is no separate trike that you could actually take out to work on. So they've got to do things like have access panels to get at the inside.
Right.
In some cases, with some of the kind of older machines, you'll flip it over on the side and work through a couple of footholes that they've got underneath there. But this one, probably within about 20 minutes, I could strip it completely down and be riding a bare recumbent trike. But just one other thing I'll mention before we get to that. So a lot of times they try and make it as convenient as possible. They like to have lights, sometimes turn signals and brake lights.
Yeah. And
the lights would be centrally controlled. A lot of them have sound systems nowadays. In fact, some of them may actually mount this. They turn the body into a speaker. They've got these things called, I think they're called resonators. And so the whole thing is basically pulsating with whatever music you've got playing. It's pretty cool. This one doesn't have any of that. But so they'll have, in the cockpit, they'll have like a dashboard with switches so you can turn the lights on and off, turn signals and all that sort of thing. This one doesn't have that. Like I said, it's supposed to be a less expensive version. So I use sort of standard off-the-shelf bike lights, and I turn it on. I have to get out of the vehicle and turn it on and off that way. And my turn signals are like this and like that.
Traditional form.
So I'm going to open it up now. And actually, just before we do that, so we've got a mirror here.
Yeah.
Mirrors are very important with the bodywork here. It does obstruct your vision a little bit, so you need to be aware of what's behind you, and that's why you've got the mirror.
Yep.
This one's set up for dual mirrors. Usually I just use this one right now. So this particular machine, as I said, it's not a monocoque, and it's a little bit of a different design. This is sort of maybe older style. There's a company in Denmark, Litra, which this is sort of the way that they like to do things with a tip-up nose cone. Most of them you have to climb through the cockpit hole like you would a kayak.
Right.
But like I said, you can strip off all the parts on this particular one and be riding a bare recumbent trike. Most of them will have suspension, and I actually did add suspension to this trike. It didn't have it before, but it does help when you're going that fast to keep control of the vehicle.
Really?
If your wheels stay in contact with the ground, that's where your steering and your braking goes on. in the front wheels.
What about adjusting the seat? I mean, is that something that's done easily, or?
Typically with this style of trike, you wouldn't really move the seat. You can change the angle of it, but typically if you have people with different leg lengths, what you would do is this part here telescopes in and out.
There you go. Yep.
So that's how you would adjust it for different height people.
Yep.
But if you like more reclined, you can make it more reclined. You can't really slide the seat forward or back. Just change the recline.
Sort of center of gravity type of adjustment.
Not on this particular trike. A lot of the trikes that are producing nowadays do have means to raise the seat up and lower it. Cool. Basically different set positions. So in order for steering, this handlebar would turn the left and right. Braking, it's got independent drums. So right controls the right, left controls the left. And for this one, shifting would go on at these bar end shifters.
Nice.
So one of the things that I really like about this machine is that you can open up the back here, and there's all kinds of cargo capacity for, groceries or whatever you want.
Yeah.
I actually find that most of the time what I do is there's a lot of space in here for things as well, and that's, it's very easy. Just throw it in there, pull the cover down, and you can go.
Right. Yeah. So it does have, for the person who wants to tour or bring equipment, there's loads of space on this.
And in here, this is a very good space. You could stuff a sleeping bag in there if you wanted to.
Sure enough. And what about the gearing here? I mean, you're saying that you can hit 25, 30 miles an hour without too much trouble. Do you have a sense of what the gearing ratios are on this thing? Is that a 55 chain ring on the front? And
I believe this one is either 52 or 53, and it would run from 11 to 32 in the back.
I see.
So it's probably a little bit under-geared although this one's not quite as aerodynamic as some of the ones that are completely commercially produced, which doing a ride with some of those guys, I found out that I was a bit slower than them.
Right. But the aerodynamics probably make up for the under gearing. But what about for going up hills? I mean, have you got a very, very low gear there that you?
Not unusually. I think it's
nothing.
I don't remember
special.
exactly what it is, but
it's
probably
it looks
24 or something maybe.
I mean, it looks like a road gearing. And is this a tiller, or sorry,
nope.
or a tank?
This would be more like I said, this is a recumbent trike. Most of them that are in production are not that particular style. There's basically the parts attached to the body. This is a bit of a different idea. So this one is more similar to tank steering than what you typically would experience with most Velomobiles. They have a tiller that comes up like this. It's on a U-joint, so it's flexible. You can move it all around. Yeah. And it's got basically two handlebars that you'd sit right like this, and you can turn it like that.
Well, how long does it take to get accustomed to riding one of these? Do you feel like you have to spend a week to learn how it rolls and rides, or is it something that you can pick up pretty quickly?
I think most of the people who get into Velomobiles are so committed that they're just, regardless, they just do it. Yeah. There's a guy down on Martha's Vineyard he doesn't own a car. Wow. And he bought one of these things sight unseen, and hasn't looked back since. Yeah. I don't know how long it took him to get used to it, but that's basically the only vehicle he uses now. So
that's fantastic. Wow. And what's the weight? Is this
typically they're actually decreasing. When I first got into it, probably 75 pounds would be typical with the body and with everything else. Now they're probably down into the maybe mid to low 60s because with the carbon fiber and things like that, they've managed to get the weight down a bit.
Right. And these wheels, I mean, some are made with full carbon wheels throughout, so that also lowers the weight. Maybe so.
I'm not sure. I know that they'll have a lot of times wheel covers. If the wheels are exposed, some of them actually build the body around the wheels.
Wow.
So.
Well, the relentless sort of technological improvements, I'm sure, will result in one of these things weighing 25 pounds within the next 10 years. Hey, Ethan, that's great. Thanks so much for giving us the tour, everybody. That was Ethan Davis of the New England Human-Powered Vehicle Rally. And if you want to see a whole collection of these bikes, recumbents and HPVs as they are known, you can attend the New England Human-Powered Vehicle Rally. That's happening on July 14th at Fort Allen in Portland. It's on Facebook. You can find out more about that. Thanks so much for watching. That's all we got time for right now. We will see you again soon.
All Things Bike with Fred Thomas is brought to you by Zentis, performance carbon wheels handmade in Austria for road and off-road riding. Zentis, next generation wheels. And Frame and Wheel eBay bike selling services. Time, space, cash. Pick 3. And AD Bikes, the modern face of Austro-Daimler cycling and the bike company of the future.